Like it's nothing.
All right. Wagwan family. Once again, we managed to organize a soccer family get together. I'm the guy with the headphones, M, and today we have a cast of characters with us today. So first of all, let's welcome my boy B up in New York. Say what's up to the
Yeah,
people,
what's
B.
up? What's up?
All
What's up?
right.
What's up?
Next up, we have Figo. Figo, say what's going on to people.
What's good, guys? I'm here. I'm ready to debate. I hope everybody brought their A game and their best material tonight because I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. I hear you, Figo coming out swinging. Figo fierce. And last but not least, we have Nahom. Nahom, say what's up.
What's up, people? Figo, it's not. Take it easy, Biden. We're not debating. We're just discussing topics.
Nothing going on, Figo. Show some love in the COVID era.
Everything I do to win. So if y'all want to lose, it's lose. But I'm out here trying to win.
It's all on them. All right, so we might have a couple more guests jumping in to join us, So just be keep on your toes. But another person that we need to shout out. Let's shout out Adin Peresta. That guy is still on friend status, man, with our podcast. So we really appreciate you believing in us. You know what I mean?
Shout
So we're gonna keep that fire blazing. Um,
Yeah, big up,
couple
Eden.
things going on. So every week we try to keep it relevant. Last week it was Ozil that was in the news. This week everybody is talking about PSG. Not even PSG. Everybody's talking about Ligue 1, right? So now home. Can I get your thoughts on Ligue 1? Like what's going on? The decision to cancel football right now. That's basically the direction that they went. Do you think that was the correct decision?
Well, I don't think it was a decision for the league to make. I think their hands were forced based off of what the prime minister, I believe, the decision that they made. But to me, it's this: like they gave PSG the title, and PSG I think had 12 points ahead of what club of Marseille, I believe. Where it's there's 9 more games to play, so I don't think it's fair because they haven't played all the games. So to relegate the bottom 2 teams to crown PSG champions without the league being done and the games being played, I think is unfair. If you're going to make a decision to say we're not playing any more games, then we have to act as if that year didn't even happen. No champion, no relegation, and that's how it's got to play. So that's just that's my thought on it. But I know Leon is suing or talking about getting lawyers involved. So are the bottom 2 teams that are relegated. So it's unfair. I don't think it's the right decision to make. So
B, there are teams that this is pretty much a domino effect. This is the first. Ryan doesn't consider any league a big league unless it's the Premier League. But PSG was clear winners in Ligue 1, but yet still they're getting some backlash for this decision. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, the problem is why does it sound like that?
it's good now.
Yeah, the problem is they made a decision too early, right? What they should have done, they could have done 2 things. They could have done what Nahom said. They could have just voided the whole season, which is the safest way to not have any legal issues. That's one. Or they could have just waited it out. I don't understand why and it's not even the league who made a decision. The government went ahead and made a decision for the league and just decided and they cancel football up to September, right? All they should have done just waited it out and just wait until it's safe, right? As what other countries are doing, like in Spain and in Germany and in England. They are having like a contingency plan. They're waiting until things are safe before they bring back the league. You cannot, or you should not, just cancel league and say, "Oh, PSG win the league." You never know what might happen. You understand? That's one. You should have never done that. Two, the team affected by this is got like the teams at the bottom that's gonna be affected by this. It's crazy. And then you have other teams like they're gonna be direct and indirect effect. You have a team like Leon. You see Leon, those guys at this point, those guys are not even going to be in Europe because of this decision. They have like 10 to 11 games left. You understand what I'm saying? So when you cancel the season already on those guys, and a team that is so big as Leo with so much top quality players, more than likely they're probably going to have to sell a lot of their players, and they're probably going to have to sell them for cheap because you cancel the season early. They can't afford to keep them quality players at their club. You understand what I'm saying?
Figo, somebody has, like, at the end of the day, this is what it boils down to. Somebody is going to have to pay for the inconvenience of this COVID virus. It's either going to be the clubs, it's going to be the players, it's going to be the league itself. Who do you think needs to be held responsible?
Well, it's going to be down to the clubs, and of course the football association in those countries. You know, these things are going to be tied up in court maybe for years. You guys know how court cases go. But one thing,
So you know how court cases go?
you know, we know how court cases go. So one thing you keep saying though, Em, is the dominoes are falling. It's not coincidence that the bigger leagues, Germany, England, Spain, and Italy, have not canceled yet. Okay, the smaller leagues, the Dutch league, the French league, those guys are canceling their leagues. So when you say the dominoes are falling, Big Brother doesn't follow in the footsteps of Little Brother. That's not how these things work. All right. So these leagues are being, they're smaller. So within their countries, they maybe have less power. The Premier League is very powerful. Okay. The La Liga is very powerful within these countries. Same way the NFL. I don't know if you know how much power the NFL has within the United States, but Donald Trump and the owner of the New England Patriots, those guys are best friends. Okay. But they're not going to cancel the Premier League. So if you keep saying the dominoes are falling, I think you're making reference to the fact that the other leagues are going to cancel, and they would have by now. In fact, those guys are in position to start their leagues. Okay, so France made their decision. The virus was actually worse in Italy and Spain than it was in France, and neither one of those countries have made a decision to shut their leagues down yet.
Well, the
But
team that
Ryan,
actually the
can
clubs that the league that actually decided that they were going to shut down is PSG. So they gave not PSG, you can call it PSG league, but it's Ligue 1. And PSG
Right.
the trophy, yes, rightly so. It's highly unlikely that anything would change that outcome. But there are teams, the top two teams I believe go to Champions League, and then there's two more that go
Top
to
three.
Europa.
Yeah,
Is it the
top
top
three,
two or
and then
top three?
top
Okay,
three go
but
to
the
the
bottom,
Champions League, and then two go to
right,
Europa.
and the bottom two, they're getting relegated. Like the fact that you are now saying that at this point you are no longer eligible to challenge for getting out of relegation zone, is that fair?
I mean, I don't think it's fair, but sometimes life isn't fair. You know, like it is what it is in terms of where the standings are right now in those leagues that decide to cancel. Okay, now, like you guys said, they have their right to take it to court, but that's not going to change the outcome. Okay, is it right that you know, Man City was caught cheating and they were not taking away their Premier League title? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of, is it right? Is it wrong? You can ask these questions all day long, but the league made the decision, and then everybody else is going to have to work within that, within that decision. So if you decide to take it to court, take it to court. But they made the decision they feel best for their country.
So what do you guys think on top of that, right? Or adding to that? You think that, like, so let's say the EPL, because I've
But
heard a lot of
wait
talk.
now, before you go to that, was it the right? You think it was the right decision, Ryan? I
Yeah,
didn't hear you
question.
I didn't hear you say that like. Yes, I think it was the right decision or wrong decision. Do you think it was the right decision? Because I think it was the wrong decision. I think they acted way too prematurely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Me personally, I think it would be right to resume whenever you can, even if it's in December, resume this current season and then start the next season whenever you can. But I would prefer, there's enough of this season left to where you should finish it. Okay. It's not like there was 2 or 3 games left. So I would prefer that's what they do. And that's what I'm hoping the Premier League does. Now, it'd be interesting to see if these countries, like PSG, for example, and Lyon, they're still in Champions League. It'd be interesting to see. That's a completely different league. The Champions League hasn't canceled yet. That is Big Brother, okay? The other guys, like I said, are little brother. The Champions League is still in session, so it'll be interesting to see how PSG and Lyon go about competing in that competition.
Well, Lyon is not in it. Lyon is not in it, but PSG, rightfully so. One thing that go ahead, B.
No. Well, I think Lyon they still have a game left.
Who Lyon playing?
Aren't they in like a second leg? Aren't they in like a second leg game? Because remember, I think Liverpool is the only team that played. Remember, Liverpool played their second leg game against Atletico Madrid, right? But I don't think other teams got to play their second leg game. And I know what they're trying to say is that, like, because in France they cancel all sporting activity up to September. So what they're trying to say is that, like, PSG is planning on playing their games outside of the country.
They're gonna have to.
I'm almost sure Lyon has another.
I think you might be right. I think it might be
probably have a second leg game left. I don't know who they're playing, but I know I think they have a second leg game left. Which again, because of this decision, is going to put them at a disadvantage. Because think about it,
Juventus,
all the other teams.
Juventus.
That's who they're playing.
Yeah, Juventus. You're absolutely right.
So again, it's going to put them, the teams in France, at a disadvantage because let's say all the other teams they get back to playing football, right? And they cancel football in France. How are those guys getting them match? How are the French team keeping themselves in shape to go into the Champions League game? How would that work?
They are at a clear-cut advantage for sure.
There is. I mean, the Germans have an advantage because they don't play the whole month of December, like January. Nobody pays attention to that. It's gonna be one of those things where it's gonna be. It is what it is, like Ryan said. It's like, see you in court. They don't care what the feedback is gonna be. Obviously, they're just saying these are unprecedented times. These are the decisions we made. Simple and plain. Whether you think it's right or wrong, that's the decision we're making. The closer that we are getting to I don't know if it's the playing date or the practice date, you're seeing a lot more pushback because the plans, they don't quite make sense. There's little things here and there, like Germany. I think May 9th was the date that they said they were going to have the league play. They pushed that back because they're still trying to figure out nuances. And then another thing that's going to come about is the fact that these NHS staff members and just patients that might be suffering from COVID, they have limited testing right now. So I think I read somewhere where it's like 20,000 tests needed in Germany to start the league. So you're going to give 20,000 tests to these people, and there are, patients and people that might be suffering from COVID that need these tests to determine whether they have COVID or don't have COVID. So it's super complex. So we can't fully fault the German league for saying, we're not even going to take chances. We're going to stop. But what I didn't like is the fact that you crown a champion when there's 9 games left. Like, I think PSG had like a 12-point gap over Lyon or over Marseille. Yeah. So Liverpool has the 25-point gap. Now Liverpool can literally be like, look what's going on. Like, there's no way you can't crown us champions. Like, and I read somewhere as well that players from outside the EPL reached out to Chelsea players and said, don't take a pay cut. Because we have to be consistent with what we're giving, the feedback that we're giving the club. So 2 points here. One is we can't fall the French whatever because we don't know the intel that they have, right? Clearly they felt like they had to make that decision, right? 3 points actually. 2, it was wrong for the league to say you're champions with 9 games left and Lyon misses out Champions League. Like all these things that are happening, right? The team's getting relegated, missing out a lot of money. 3 is the fact that I forgot my third point. Is the fact that when you look at it from a perspective of lawsuit here, this and that and the third, it doesn't matter. I don't think anybody cares. Like
Figo,
it is what it is.
Figo, do you consider Bundesliga a big league? One of the big.
Okay, for me, if we're gonna go, I'm gonna give you my top 4 leagues. in no particular order. The Bundesliga, okay, the Premier League, Italy, the Italian league, which is Serie A, and the Premier League. Those are the 4 big leagues. Even if you look at Champions League, however many spots you get for the Champions League, those leagues all get 4. Okay. No other league in Europe gets four places in Champions League. So just based on that math, those are the bigger leagues, and neither one of those have canceled yet.
So you said the Premier League, Bundesliga, Italian league, and which other one?
And Premier League.
Premier League.
I think you said Premier League. You said Premier League twice.
Those are easily the top 4.
Well,
Yeah.
Spain, Italy. You said Premier
England, Germany. Spain, Italy, England, Germany.
Okay, so La Liga. So Bundesliga is pretended. Well, they were predicted to return May 9th, but now they're saying that it's going to be pushed back, right? And like Nahom was saying, there's over 20,000 tests that needs to be done on each player, and the facilities, making sure that everything is wiped down. Government, they're basically pushing the date back every time they meet. And with the tests being so hard to get, do you think it's fair to say that we're prioritizing football over life and death situations?
I would never prioritize anything over life and death situation in terms of entertainment. So I think, me personally, as long as it takes for them to open back up safely and fairly, then that's what we need to do. But each day, progress is being made in terms of testing. So, for example, I saw the other day where it's expensive, but they are administering home tests, okay? So where you can buy a test and take it at home, but it's very, very expensive, okay? So what if a club decided that they wanted to buy their own home tests and do it themselves, do-it-yourself tests? You can't stop a club in a capitalistic world from buying 20,000 home tests, okay?
Well,
it's not a capitalist country, though, when you look at Europe as a whole. So there will be a lot of negative press, if you will, if that happens. If there are tests that are very expensive and clubs are buying them by the thousands, but across the street there are people dying because they can't get tested.
But Nahom, that happens every day. I mean,
but not in front of us.
Listen, the first people that why was Rudy Gobert getting tested at halftime of a basketball game? You know what I'm saying? Like, it has already been happening. Like the first
at the thousands, it hasn't happened. 20,000 tests. It's not. We're talking about these countries that are like Germany. It's free healthcare, bro. Like there's certain. It's not what mentally we have instilled in America.
So let me ask you a question, and this is opinion based. Do you think that they found out Hudson-Odoi and Arteta had the virus strictly based on? Okay, when they found out these guys had them, do you not think that all the clubs tested their players and staff?
Right, but what I'm saying is it's a difference when you're buying tests for 10 games to happen. So you're buying tests in abundance, right? Mm-hmm. It's gonna look bad. And when that happened, it was something new. We didn't think it was gonna be 1 million casualties in the world. Right now, it's like an all-time high where we know how lethal this thing is. So to say that, they're rich so they can afford it, so they won't be as much negative press. Frank Lampard had an interview today, I believe, where he said if that's the case, then we have to wait. There's no way we should prioritize, whether it's financially fitting for the country or not, prioritize, soccer and football over like people.
Right.
When it's life and death.
We see that happening here in our own country. Like
that's
on Monday,
Europe is not America.
On Monday, you can go get a haircut in most states. You know what I'm saying? So, they're prioritizing the economy, money. The guys who make these decisions aren't you and I. Like you and I, we have a heart, right? The guys who are making these decisions, they don't.
Yeah, but you see, my thing is that word that you say. I don't think they are prioritizing. I don't necessarily think they're prioritizing one over the other. I think what's happening, and this is what happened in Germany, which caused them to push back the date. I think they have they probably have like a 4-step procedure that they think, okay, these 4 things have to happen before you open up the league, right? So
Sorry, guys.
What happened was they had plans of starting back training and getting back everything back together in Germany. But I think three staff members or three players, three people got tested positive. You understand? So
And that's my
because
point.
people got tested positive, they have to. I guess they're isolating those people, which is where the next conversation is going to happen. What's going to happen when someone gets tested positive? Are you going to put everyone in that 2 week isolation, or are you going to take out those individual people and have them get isolated and try get them back in order in terms of the 2 weeks that they so that's what's going on right now.
I just want to hold on. I want to give a big shout out. We got a special celebrity guest, 50 aka Ferrari. 50 aka Ferrari.
What's good?
Hey guys,
Yo, so we got a couple of people jumping on. We got KG jumping on. KG, say welcome on to the people.
What's going on? The drought is over. It's officially over. I'm back.
Okay, he's back. He looks like he got a haircut, or I don't know what's going on with his head.
I just went golfing.
Oh, that's what it is. Got his golf outfit.
Nah, bro. This joint is
says
so
on too.
long, bro.
Oh yeah, that joint is nice.
Like you in a band, he was in a band in the 80s, nigga. Sue.
Yo, so man, let's not keep all the love.
You see the locks are luscious, bro.
We got live. Hold on, we got live CID 2B45310 aka CC in the building.
That's your name, Cisse, on the thing.
On the Skype, you
no idea why that says that. I have no idea why it says that, but we're not going to figure that out. We're going to keep it moving.
CC. So basically, for you guys that just jumped in, basically we're talking about Ligue 1, and the French league, their decision to cancel football. You guys kind of jump in on the tail end of it, but KG, you want to give your thoughts on that real quick before you look like you're getting distracted, man. Focus.
No, in terms of Ligue and them canceling football, I think it's premature, right? And as the virus continues to progress and as it continues to evolve, I think the issue is that people have to come to the realization that this is not this environment doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? So what's good today may not be good tomorrow. And what's good tomorrow may not be a month from now, right? And so I think the problem that we have is that people have expectations that, all right, once football goes back to normal, then it's going to be football is back. But I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. I think that there's going to be bumps and trials and tribulations in every single industry, every single thing that we try to go back to being normal. There's gonna be tests. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. I think it's a wait and see. It could turn out great, could turn out poorly. You know what I mean? Because what happens if everybody else finishes their season and they don't? They would have looked to have jumped the gun prematurely. And if everybody else makes it off the back of this, unscathed. So I think we should allow people to make mistakes in this environment because it's unprecedented without casting them aside as poor decisions. Nobody's really making good decisions at this point. I think everybody's going with their gut instinct. But I mean, I wouldn't say nobody's making poor decisions. That's not true. I think some people have made good decisions and some people have made poor decisions, but I still don't think clubs and people should be castigated for making decisions that are unprecedented. Just too much.
As people giving their opinion, as all of us are, that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to pick a side. PSG got the trophy, right? And there's two teams that's going to be going to Europa. Two teams are going to get relegated. The season is not over yet. Do you think that's fair?
I think from that standpoint, it's kind of tough. I do understand, just like the PSG and Liverpool's, the position they're in is pretty much a no-brainer toward them. But I feel like that's the case then, in a sense. It has to be some type of that has to be applied for relegation as well. I think that's a bit, in terms of fairness, that's really irrelevant. It's just a matter of what's the safest decision here. Like to piggyback off what KG was saying, the fact that this decision was made I'm for it, because right now we're basically on a trial and error way right now. There's nothing that's been implemented for reentry. So to basically say like, okay, there's a chance that we can jump in a couple of months, but in a couple of months, what happens? Like, what's going to do? A player's going to be wearing masks? What's the rule? Like, are there going to be fans? You know what I mean? It just feel like it's a bit too early. And the fact that they made that decision, I'm all for it. But it's also a bit tough. If you're going to say, hey, PSG won the league, then there have to be some type of relegation format when the teams that are about to be relegated. There has to be some type of either a reward for them as well. If not, then you should just cancel it all away. You know what I mean? That's how I feel.
And to add to what Cisse said, I want to add something. So I read somewhere that the Liverpool representative, whether it be a mayor or whatever they have in the UK, said that he's afraid that if the season does go on, that Liverpool fans will not adhere to the quarantine, right? So they'll come to the stadium and be outside and cause this crowd of people. And I think Liverpool fans are still looking for that guy for making that suggestion, because those guys want that guy hush hush.
Because what happened is.
Go ahead,
I was going to say, you see, as what Nahom just said, what happened is it's going to be hard to tell the Liverpool fans that hasn't won the league in 30 years that hey, you can't celebrate. But the times that we're in, we have to just apply the common sense. It's the same thing we were discussing before the recording start. As the weather gets better, it's going to be hard to tell people that hey, you have to stay inside. But we're talking about saving lives here. So if we decide to play the league and we're going to play the league behind closed doors, they have to just constantly remind people, and they just have to just put measures in place that listen, you cannot have, because what they're running from is if they win the league, they have a parade outside. That's the next thing. That's the easy next thing that's gonna happen, which is what they're running from right now. They just have to plan as with everything else. You plan just in case this happened, that happened, that happened. They have to just plan for it.
Ryan, what do you think that basically it's gonna be a trickle down effect, right? So how do you think this is gonna leave an impact for the Premier League? Like, how do you think this is gonna affect the Premier League?
There's too much money being exchanged in the Premier League. The richest game in football is the promotion game. They call that the game where the playoff game where you're playing to get into the Premier League. That game is nicknamed the richest game in football because the TV money in the Premier League is split up evenly. So the teams that get promoted into the Premier League, they get about $30 million per team to come into the Premier League based on the TV money. There's too much money being exchanged in England for them to cancel the Premier League. There's just too much. There's too much at stake in terms of money. And you guys, I mean, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, money controls all these things. Okay, so I don't know what the money is like in France and in the Dutch league, but I can assure you that it is not what it is in the Premier League. There's just too much money at stake.
Nahom, you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a fact. A whole fact. There's too much money. I think it's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of trial and error. I'm pretty sure. Like I heard recently that Dybala tested positive again. So what happens if Tammy Abraham tests positive in the second game that we play? Chelsea have to play with no Tammy Abraham. Like, what if 4 of our players test positive? Like, so it's one of those things where I think there's so much money on the line that they have to continue. But it's going to be hard to develop a plan where things are going to go absolutely right. And you guys already know how the English media is. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as something go bad, it's going to be like a storm hitting the people that made those decisions. And if those guys making those decisions are okay with it, then by all means. But like Ryan said, I absolutely agree. Too much money on the line.
So the people that are making these decisions, those are the guys that have the money on the line. Like I was saying earlier, somebody has to pay. Like somebody is going to have to pay for this inconvenience. It's either going to be the players, like I told Ryan when he just jumped on, it's going to be the players, the club, or us, basically. KG, Europe, we were talking about this earlier, but for Champions League, the qualifications that they were saying that it's being decided on sporting merit. Do you think that's the best way for us to go?
Sorry, I had to take my mic off of unmute. I think I was giving some kickback. Um, do I think that is the best way to go? No, I don't. I don't necessarily think that is the best way to go. And the reason why I say that, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Cisse, take it easy on the juice, man. God damn.
I don't know what's going on with Cisse, man. Cisse, all I heard
That must be
in
some
Cisse
good
background
juice.
was glass and fruit punch. The guy's on Ramadan now, so you know all the guys drinking fruit
Oh,
punch.
he's on Ramadan. I don't blame.
Repeat the question.
Hold on, let me take Cisse out. Cisse, you're on mute, kid. But the question that I asked you basically, KG, is the Champions League qualifications. They're saying that it would be deciding on. Do you think that's the right decision or the right way to go?
Yeah, I think it basically gives them any option, right? They're saying based on the country's sporting decisions. That's such a broad general term that they're leaving it out there for them to each country to make their own decision and say, okay, these are the 4 teams that based on the decisions we have made have qualified for Champions League. And at that point, they can figure it out amongst themselves.
B, what are your thoughts on because I know you're an advocate for letting the season play out.
Yeah, it's for me. It's very simple. You wait it out, let the season play out because, especially in England, the problem in England and in France is the problem is now who wins the league because in England it's clear you could tell who wins the league. But if you have to decide who win the league, you're gonna have to decide who get relegated. And I'm not even talking about the 3 teams. Let's think about one team. Who's going to determine if Aston Villa get relegated? Because Aston Villa is like a point behind the 2 teams. Is a point behind the 2 teams. Is a point behind the team to get out of relegation. But they also have a game in hand. So if you decide that right now Liverpool win the league, you're also deciding that the 3 teams at the bottom they get relegated, right? How are you going to make that decision? And then you have what about teams like Sheffield United? Because Sheffield United is right there in terms of them making the Champions League. A club that is so small and they have worked so hard to get where they are. And you're going to just cut the season short for that team? So
Yeah,
again,
they got
Yes,
so
because
Chelsea
Chelsea goes through.
the easy
I don't like
decision
where you're
is
going
to
with
give
this,
it to
bro.
Liverpool. The easy decision is to give the league to Liverpool. But the other effects of you giving the league to Liverpool is all these other things because every team that comes second, third, fourth, fifth, and every team that's in the bottom 15 can complain. If the team that's in 10th can sue the league, can sue the Premier League and say, listen, I think I could have come 8th and get an extra $600 million. But you cancel the league early, and I can't afford to make that money. You understand? Everyone is gonna have a say.
What's up?
The Liverpool, the decision in terms of the Premier League, Liverpool winning the league, like that's a no-brainer. Like whether the season goes on or not, we feel like Liverpool already get it. But like B was saying, the ramifications of the teams that are fighting relegations, the ramifications of Sheffield United being in 7th place, they have 28 games, 43 points. So if they play their extra game, then they might be in 5th position, which that's a Champions League spot. You know what I'm saying? Every other team ahead of them played 29 games. So all of these things that go into factor, do you think that what do you think the best course of action would be?
Well, in terms of Liverpool, that's a no-brainer, like I said. But for the relegation sides, I feel like they need to provide some type of format, a playoff format, when those teams have to compete. Whether if a team is close by a couple of points or so, however a team make the bottom 6 or the bottom 8, whatever the case may be, they need to buy some type of playoff structure so those teams can actually compete. And from then, the winners of that, they can determine if the winner automatically gets promoted. 2nd place gets a promotion as well. 3rd place gets a promotion, whatever the case may be, however they want to do that. But I feel like something needs to be done in the tournament structure for those teams to advance, because you can't just say, "Hey, Liverpool wins, but you guys f off." It does not work that way. It's not possible.
But Cisse,
So
the bottom six teams. So you have Brighton have 29 points. Okay, so Brighton's at 15 with 29. Norwich is at 20 with 21. How do you determine in your playoff structure? How do you now determine which teams are going to be going in this playoff structure? Like, who is now going to be valid as a relegation battle playoff team? It's all messed up.
I mean, that's going to be tough to say. I feel like you just have to match the teams with the same points and start there and try to create a game based on those two. But again, for me. I have to sit down and actually think about that. But it's definitely possible. It's not something that's not far fetched. It can definitely work. You just have to figure out the numbers involved in it and the best way to go about it.
I got a simple answer.
Void the damn season.
Hold on.
But that's what I'm saying. Everyone is for the void. We're just taking in the scenario that they do, Liverpool do win the trophy. Yeah. What happens then? Of course, just to be clear, my standpoint is everything needs to be canceled. F it. It is what it is. Liverpool, hey, it's okay, man. As long as those guys don't win, I'm happy.
There's gonna be some English.
I have a simple answer to this long question. Whatever puts Arsenal in the relegation playoff.
Listen, I'm the same way with you right now, man. Listen, void the season. You think I want Liverpool to win? Void, no problem. Void.
No, wait. KG, are you saying that so we should do a bottom 10? Because right now
Arsenal bottom half. You gotta go to relegation playoff, bruv.
Come on, them go. It's tough.
B, do you think that's right?
But you see, the funny thing about these things is, let's say we void the season. Voiding the season helps Arsenal. That's the funny thing. Voiding the season helps Arsenal a whole lot. Because if you void the season, what you're saying is that the teams that made the Champions League, you're going to use the teams that made it last year. Correct?
No, it stays how it is. That's what I thought.
Based on sporting,
y'all not in Champions League anyway.
That's how a void is.
Oh, you mean? Yeah. So you guys are back in Europa League. No problem.
Yeah, reset.
No. But listen, man. If you void the season, right? What you're saying is that everything is cancelled. That means nothing for this season, right? And that means you're saying that for you to determine the teams that made the Champions League is the 4 teams from last year, right? And the 4 teams from last year was Tottenham, Manchester City, and I think Man United.
No, Chelsea finished 3rd last year. We finished ahead of Tottenham.
And that Chelsea was a part of the 4 that made the Champions League last year.
Yeah, yes.
So and Arsenal came 5th. But my point is, if you void the season, that benefits Arsenal because Manchester City.
I think they finished 5th.
It's all documented. You can't stop. So, if you void the season, Manchester City has a transfer ban, so they can't be in it. So the team
it doesn't go effect this year, B. It doesn't go effect. It doesn't go effect this season. It goes next season.
They got a transfer ban for 2 seasons, bro.
Right, but it doesn't go into effect this coming season. It doesn't go into effect this coming season. That's what I was told.
That's not true.
I don't know if that's true, but hey.
So here's the deal, Figo. We can talk about all those speculations all we want, but another speculation that we hear about. Speaking of Arsenal, Aubameyang. So he's supposed to be going this summer. Rumor has it that he might be going this summer for 30 million. Do you guys think you should actually get rid of your best goal scorer, or you think that's crazy talk?
It's not like Arsenal haven't done it before.
From a business,
same price too.
30 mil. Your best goal scorer. Like why? You guys are 9th in the league.
That's the Arsenal special. That's what they call it. The Arsenal special.
Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, and when it's my turn to talk, you gotta mute rest of them on them because them on them can't be interrupting me. All right.
Let me mute your brother. Let me brew KG, because he's the bad apple.
All right, listen. So you guys can make fun of Arsenal all you want, right? The last two players we let their contracts run down and they went to other clubs for big money was Alexis Sanchez, flop, Aaron Ramsey, flop. Okay? Right now, Aubameyang, he's our top goal scorer, as Alexis Sanchez was when he left Arsenal. And based on that piece of business, I would say if he is not willing to re-sign, I would sell him from a business perspective. I love the guy. He's scoring a lot of goals for the club, but we have to be able to recoup something for him if he is not willing to sign a new contract. We were able to get Ozil to sign his contract, and look where we are today. So if you use those two things as an example, Alexis Sanchez and Ramsey, I would say Arsenal got it right both times. Okay? The only thing they
Cisse, there's
not
the word on the
universal.
street. Wait, what? Cisse, where you at? I lost him. There's word on the street that there's this Real Madrid player. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but Luka Jovic. They were saying that he might be a possible replacement if this hypothetical selling of Aubameyang goes through. Do you think it's a good replacement for him? Well, considering if AC Milan back down on
For Arsenal.
yeah.
You saying Jovic? Yeah. Jovic is obviously he hasn't had. Yes, I'm familiar to answer your question. He hasn't had the best season at Madrid. I think more so it's just him settling, and also people just really play the magnitude of playing for Madrid. It's not an easy thing. Personality and the mental aspect of it goes in, and I just think he's having a rough time. But there is a player in him, definitely. In terms of comparison to who they have now, is more so like I said in a way. Player, definitely in the box. So I do think he will be a good fit for Arsenal. I don't see why that wouldn't work. But if I had to compare the two, obviously, Aubameyang is class. But I think he can do the job. He can definitely do the job.
B, you've been sitting there stewing a little bit quiet. This is your team, what are your thoughts on this whole situation? Cisse, how many cups of juice are you gonna drink for one day?
right.
It's Ramadan, dude.
The guy doesn't know,
You
man.
guys distracted me again, man. All right, go ahead, D.
Yeah, okay. I'm a little bit different from Ryan in terms of the opinion, because I think everything is a case by case situation, right? And I think in the Aubameyang's case, there are several things to determine if you're going to extend a player's contract, right? One, Aubameyang is a player that's always fit. So even though he's over the age of 30, I am willing to give him an extension of 2 to 3 years, because based on history, he's a player that he doesn't seem like he's slowing down. That's one. And two, goal scorers are hard to find. So if you sell Aubameyang, one,
That's it.
you have to spend equally amount of money to replace him, right? Then three, based on what we're going through right now, you're not going to get the right value for him because of the situation that we're in right now. So for me, I think he's more valuable of us taking the chance, and he play, even if it means him playing out his last season and he leaves, rather than we sell him for $30 million. Because if he play out his last season and we have a good season, that can bring us in the Champions League, and that's probably going to work more than the $30 million. But what's interesting to me is that we're talking about Aubameyang, but what about players like William, who's on TV talking, say he want to go to this club and that club, and Harry Kane, who's basically throwing out that come get me to Man United, that he wants to go to other clubs, but people are talking about Aubameyang, and he has over a year left on his contract.
B, you're absolutely right. And another player
William
to add
is on TV.
William can go. William is out of contract.
Say he wants. Okay. I'm just saying the guy's on TV talking about
Kevin De Bruyne,
clubs.
Today, Kevin De Bruyne said today, he said the club is 100% sure that they didn't commit the crime that they're accused of. 1 year I may be able to to stay and not play in Champions League. But if it's 2 years, I will have to consider that. So when I saw that, I said, my eyes got big as a Chelsea fan. I said, my friend, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, boom. You know, but Willian, any club that takes Willian, like, I hate Arsenal more than probably any club ever, right? But to let Aubameyang go and get Willian would say everything about the club. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should build around. Probably, you can arguably say that Aubameyang in the last 3-4 years might be the best player in the EPL. Arguably. So where do you go buy that? Chelsea's trying to find it. Let us know where we go buy that. Because we can't find it.
Nahom. We said the same thing. We said the same thing about Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, but it's not universal. You can't just say because this player was a bust, every player over 30 we should sell. Like a captain, a superstar of our team, we should sell because Alexis Sanchez failed. And then and with Ramsey, like, I wouldn't say Ramsey's a complete failure. I don't think he's successful, but a complete failure, no. Because if you watch Serie A, Ramsey is either, to me, success. If you're on that 11 that Sarri's picking and that Juventus team, I wouldn't call it a failure. The guy's getting a lot of playing time.
Is he getting a lot of playing time now?
B, who in your midfield would play over Matuidi? Who in your midfield would play over Matuidi?
That's not what I asked you.
That's
a lot of playing time.
That's the basis. Yes, he is getting a lot of playing time. If you play,
you sure about that?
3/4 of the games for Juventus, I wouldn't call it a failure. But what I'm saying, B, like, it's funny because I kind of like Ramsey, right? But if we're logically talking, right? Ramsey's probably the best midfielder in your midfield. So to say losing him is okay, you're not in a situation right now where you're in a good place.
Yes, but not home.
So I don't think my entire point, I agree with you for the most part. My entire point is you can't make that universal, saying, oh, we sold 2 of our best players, so it's okay to sell our 2 best players. This guy was Golden Boot winner almost 2 years in a row.
Let me interject. Ramsey left for free. So what I'm suggesting is we don't let that happen with Aubameyang, okay? We don't want him leaving the club for free. So if the player decides he doesn't want to be there anymore,
that's a different conversation.
Would you knowingly, if a player, as an owner or a general manager, if you know a player doesn't want to be at your club anymore, you would let him play out a year of his contract?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you have the option of keeping him, which nothing that Aubameyang has done or said has told me that he wants to leave Arsenal.
Right.
So far. So I'm going off the basis that he's probably waiting to see what Arsenal. This is like his last hurrah in football. So he wants to play in Champions League. He wants to see what investors. So I think that's more of what I'm saying in terms of him staying and you guys keeping him versus if he wants to leave, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Like, get your money.
Bernard suggested that we let him play out his contract. We're not in the business of doing that anymore.
It depends though. It depends though, Ryan. If the money from making Champions League, it depends the value. Like, what are they asking? How much can you get for him?
It's 30 million pounds, a big enough difference between where you would finish with him and where you'd finish without him. Is he worth more than 30 million pounds in league position for Arsenal in particular? And my answer is yes. Like, you eat that 30 million pounds because you take that same 30 million pounds and you're going to go get Shane Long.
Okay, so why didn't Chelsea let Hazard play out the last year of his contract?
Why?
Yeah.
Because it was 150 million.
Well, you can't. You're comparing apples and oranges, right? Like, Hazard wants to stay at Chelsea. Like, Hazard was moving on to in what his mind he thought were going to be greener pastures. You know what I mean? Moving to arguably what is considered the biggest club in the world. You know, at least in footballing terms. So, like, you can't compare Hazard's situation and those guys' situation. Like, they knew Hazard loves Chelsea. He wanted to stay at Chelsea, but it was time for him to go. So you got to pay the asking price. That's as simple as that. Like, Hazard wasn't going to leave. Hazard was never going to put in a transfer request at Chelsea. A club was going to have to pay his transfer price. Like everybody knew that. So it's like
So Cisse,
it's
go
apples
ahead,
and
KG, finish up. Cisse, I got a question for you. So we're right now. It sounds like we're in the conversation of transfers and what might be happening over the summer. During the week, a conversation came out from Ed Woodward saying that everybody is linked to Manchester United. We got Sancho, we got Grealish, we have what's his other name from Kane from Tottenham. Like all these players are linked to Manchester United. Woodward saying that it may not be business as usual because of everything that's happening. How do you guys think clubs, Cisse? Well, this one is for you. I guess it's a Man U question. How do you think we're going to approach this summer transfer spending window, and what teams are going to benefit other guys? While Cisse is answering, what teams are going to benefit from this dilemma that we have? Because the smaller teams, they're going to take a significant hit because they don't have that back pay to pay staffing members, and like how is all this roller coaster going to happen, Cisse?
I think he's on mute.
Yeah, you can see the icon, the mute icon.
Yeah, I think you have to unmute him.
He has to unmute himself.
He says like the old man in the meeting that talks for 30 minutes, but he's. The guy's still talking now, and he's laughing.
Are we still waiting on? All right, while we're waiting on Cisse, right?
Go ahead, B.
Okay, this is the interesting thing to me, right? We always come back and we put it on Arsenal and we criticize Arsenal. When you have Barcelona on the transfer list, except Messi, all of them, and they spend a whole lot of money on players, and they're willing to get rid of everyone with the exception of Messi, and players are running down their contract. That's going to be a thing that happens more often than not because the players realize this is a way of them putting a lot of the transfer money in their pocket. But bigger clubs than Arsenal, they have a lot of other problems with the transfer. Luis Suarez, those guys, Dembele.
B.
And they just got him. All those guys are on the transfer market because they're making so much mistakes in the transfer window. They're trying to get rid of them players. Coutinho, those guys spend so much money on Coutinho. The guy haven't played 2 seasons there.
Yeah, Barcelona's a whole mess, man. Barcelona has high wages. They don't have a structure to how they're playing. It's a whole mess over there. But I know they have an election. They have an election coming up as well. So we'll see what happens.
I understand what Bernard is saying, but at the same time, you also have to take into account the difference between Barcelona and Arsenal, and the reason why you guys are in the predicament that you're in is because Barcelona will make that mistake, and that does not stop them from going to market and continuing to buy players. So they may make one mistake, but you know what? It is what it is. They'll make another one. Arsenal, on the other hand, they make that mistake, like. That mistake is Ozil, right? And look at how that has hamstringed the club. So you guys, I know we joke about this thing about it, like Arsenal being a big club, but like in serious talk, like in serious evaluation, like you literally just pointed out the difference between what is now big clubs and where Arsenal currently are. Big clubs can make that mistake, and they will continue to make that mistake and not bat an eye at it. Versus Arsenal, you guys made one bad, terrible signing and given Mesut Ozil that contract, and it has hampered you guys in everything or at least your club has used that as an excuse as to why it has hampered you guys in every single thing you've done outside of dealing directly with Mesut Ozil.
I'm not even going because I don't want it. I don't want it to be an Arsenal Chelsea debate. So I'm just going to leave you with that. I'm not even going to get into it with you, my brother, because what you're saying right now don't make no sense to me. But God bless you.
B, hold on. What do you mean by it don't make no sense?
No. He says he's not on mute anymore. You asked him a question.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Cisse, go ahead, Cisse.
He's on mute again, bro.
Yeah, he's back on mute. This poor kid. KG, Okay, so he said technology is not your strength, but it's cool though. He said, yeah, we can. Anytime you figure it out, you can just give me a holler, and then we can talk about that.
And I can tell you about United.
Oh, I can tell you about United too, but let me hear your thoughts.
No, I think United, depending on this window, is very important for United because it can go really good or really bad. But if you guys make some marquee signings, I think you guys would be in good shape. If you get the whole Pogba situation situated, if you guys get Sancho, somebody on the wing that's dangerous, and then I think you guys need another striker. You guys are in business, man. If you guys make those signings.
Okay.
I'm
live.
Let's focus on Cisse.
Okay, I'm live. I'm live before I was respectively interrupted by B, but nonetheless, I'm live. But so
All right.
it's simple as this, man. Simple as this, bro. There's nothing to go on, like Nahum just said, without resolving this Pogba issue. This resolving the Pogba issue would dictate what Manchester United does. For me personally, I'm tired of all of the blazing Pogba's been getting, whether he's on the pitch or not on the pitch. Personally, for me, I think he should go to Madrid so he can really show his class. Once that's done, whatever money we pocket obviously has to go to the right way. It's no brainer there. If anybody watches Man United game, we need a right winger badly because we're relying on a dude we just pulled up from Bush League to do work, and it's killing us right now. So the money that we get from Pogba, we invest in Sancho. It make it a lot easier for us. And Ogalo, surprisingly, is apparently to me the African Chicharito in a sense because the guy's just coming in doing work. So if you can keep that consistency, we can invest in the midfield and the wing, or we go from there. You know. So for me, that's what needs to happen, man.
You guys need Van Beek, he said. Van Beek. Whatever that guy's from Ajax.
He said
no, that guy's heavy.
He said one statement that B made a couple weeks ago. He was saying that Igalo is not a Manchester United product. He just made the statement that says with Aubameyang, if you're scoring goals, then why would we want to get rid of you? So he said. So what are your thoughts on B considering Igalo as not good enough to be a Manchester United player?
Listen, Igalo's a Bushman product. All right, nobody cares where that guy came from. I care about goals, man, and that guy is providing goals. Simple as that. I don't care where that guy came from and what he's made of. If he cares about me, but personally for me, he's a fan of Man United. Everybody is when they get signed, apparently, but he gets the job done, and he provides something that we do not have, and that's for me. That's fine. As long as he gets the job done, I have no issue with that at all. And personally, for me, B, I have no idea why you say such a thing. Because for me, it's all about proving people wrong in a sense. And I felt like he's had a lot of people doubt on him. And so far, he's proved them wrong. Even me, myself. I wasn't anticipating him to be that productive in the short.
B, show yourself, B.
Okay, so it's simple for me. Manchester United is one of the top 3 clubs in the world. Okay, and if you list
on paper,
if you list 50 strikers, I guarantee you no one would call Igalo's name.
Nope. Listen,
if you pick, you can name probably 10 to 20. Olivier Giroud, who's on the bench at Chelsea, is better than Igalo. It's not good for me. Igalo is not good enough to play for Manchester United. So that's
B. The guy is scoring.
B.
If you're scoring goals, like as a striker, your job is to score goals. Isn't that?
Let me phase in right now.
If Rashford gets injured, your striker is Igalo. Right now, do you take that?
Yeah.
We're not just talking about against some team from Denmark.
You guys. The problem is right now, you guys are simply forgetting something, right? Yes, Manchester United is a big club on paper. I stopped thinking about that. We're trash. Simple, right? That we are trash. So for me to keep operating and thinking like, yo, we should be bringing
you're not
strikers.
You can't be saying
No.
You're not an Arsenal fan.
No.
What do you mean he's not an Arsenal fan?
To be realistic in our stop. You guys have to be realistic in this approach with United, man. Right now we have a
Manchester United What are you talking about?
Fellas,
So the team that's in the
M,
league is
Let him talk.
M,
Man.
M, M. Right now, yes, United will forever be a big team. However, the reality is United is trash. Whether you agree with me or not, we have a joke side of a coach. We have a joke side of an ownership. Okay,
leadership.
I'm keeping it a buck. So for me, the fact that we're in the position we are right now is a miracle. All right, it's a pure miracle, and I'll leave it at that. But what I'm saying for the current situation of what we are, I don't care in terms of comes in as long as they get the job done. Nobody saw Conte being one of the best midfielders in about 5-6 years ago. Nobody saw that. I don't care where guys are coming from, but I just want guys that can get the job done. That's all that matters to me right now as a United supporter.
How many goals did he score? Did
Come
he have
in,
like 40? I'm over here trying to figure out how many he got to score.
Yo,
The way you guys
listen,
are talking about this guy.
Igalo, since January and at home, since January, Igalo scored like 4 or 5 goals.
He played 2 Europa League games against a team from like Switzerland.
But no, nah. But the guy's not scoring half it, bro. There's no way. You can tell. Listen, I want that coming in, no problem. I'm not saying there's a starter for United, but we need a role player like him because we currently do not have that.
Hey guys,
We're relying on so he can do.
He currently the guy is a stopgap. Like he's the player that's stopping the bleeding. If Rashford did fell down and Rashford got injured. Martial every now and then he's like he has the consistencies, but when he's down in the rough, Martial is down in the rough. So Igalo is that player that we can at least rest Martial. At least we can rest Rashford in the club game, in the cup games. So even the fact that we have that going on for us.
And before you go, let me ask you something. City have Kun Aguero and Gabriel Jesus, right? You guys, that's where we want to get to, right? Liverpool, City, right? Do you think if something happened to Rashford, you can count on Igalo? Because what I'm saying is, if I was you guys are a big club with a big budget. It's not whether you're good or bad in seasons to come, right? Or seasons happening. It is right. Like you guys are Manchester United with a Manchester United budget. Go get the kid from Dortmund.
Right. We can do that, but until then,
we have absolutely until then. But that should be the golden standard.
Our focus, no. Right now, our focus is on Sancho, right? And he's one of the players. We were talking about it earlier. We're in an hour now. But there was a article that came out. The 36 best players that are under 21. And first we had Mbappe, and then we had Sancho, and I guess from first to fifth we're gonna do. So we had Igalo, Sancho, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Vinicius Jr. That's the striker from Real Madrid, and then Havertz.
Igalo, you said Igalo's like 39, boy.
Igalo's like 100 years old. I said Vinicius Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys know who under B.
Who?
No, that wasn't B. Go ahead. Say the list.
So the under 21 players. Do you guys know of anybody else that would make this list? Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's 21. Sancho is 20, and Mbappe is 21. Rashford is 22, so no CJ.
I'm trying to think. There's a kid in France that's like 16.
Yeah, him. I know who you're talking at home, and they have this kid from Lyon. Who I think because of the decision that the government has made, the midfielder from Lyon at Manchester City, also all them looking at him. He is going to be the next big thing, right? The kid from Lyon, and in Turkey they're producing a lot of good top quality young players right now. Turkish team has a very good crop of young talent. You understand what I'm saying? And then what about what's the name that play for RB Leipzig, the centre back? But centre backs don't get the praise they deserve. The French centre back, Upamecano or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know who the Leipzig centre back is.
Yeah, those guys are top quality.
The only defender that I think they had on there in the top 10 was De Ligt, homeboy from Juventus.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lid is definitely up
Taste
there.
the lick. So what do you, now that the summer's approaching and things are where they are, and it looks like, I mean, the way that things looks like they're likely gonna fold. Manchester United are not gonna make the Champions League. What are the chances that United get Sancho?
I'm sorry. You said Manchester United is not going to get the
KG
Champions
ask a
League.
question and throw a jab.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Before I even address that question, what do
Now that
where,
you're a punk, how do you
what,
feel about?
what do you mean?
That's how KG asks the question. It's hilarious.
City is not gonna make Champions League, and we're in fifth place, so we're gonna
Well,
be there
listen,
next. Arsenal needs to be.
from the most viable scenarios, listen, in all likelihood, because they're not going to be able to finish the games. Like, as much as we want to fight this fight that this season is going to finish, this season isn't going to finish, fellas. like,
Nah, bro. Like,
Guys,
it's,
like,
nah.
like any way that we, because again, once it starts, it's like we all know it's going to stop again. There's a 0% chance that they're going to start playing games, and the games are going to play now until the end of the season. And once
All
they
right, we got.
Okay, so what do you think is gonna happen?
if they're going to start the games again, somebody's going to get sick, and then they're going to stop.
Okay, so what should they do? Should they avoid the season? What should they do?
If I knew what they should do, I would be a billionaire. I have no fucking idea what they should do. I think they
It's
need
all opinions.
nobody.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's
KG.
Well,
KG.
this is the thing, right? And the German league.
No. The only thing that is not an opinion in this circumstance is that people are going to continue to get sick. That is a fact. And so, as long as that still is a fact,
I was done 5 minutes ago.
everything else is an opinion. And so, as long as we know people are still getting sick, the league is not going to finish.
All right. So with that said, fellas, our family time it has come to an end. Thank you, Figo, for showing us your weirdly colored beard. Thank you, Cisse, for showing up in your WCP jersey. Thank you, Nahom, for showing us that you are yet to get a haircut. Thank you, KG, with your Backstreet Boys styling. And B, thank you for turning off your video. I'm the guy with the headphones, M. Thank you all for listening. Please leave your thoughts and your suggestions, feedback, any corrections, or anything that you have in the comment section below. Remember to like and follow at the.soccer.family. We have the soccer fam and we have our YouTube channel. So we're looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. So I hope I get to see you guys in the next family reunion. All right, little more.